Welcome to Wellness Rebranded, the podcast where a dietitian, a personal trainer, and a mental health therapist get together to explore health and wellness from 3 different healing perspectives. I'm Elizabeth, registered dietitian and certified intuitive eating counselor.
I'm Maria, licensed mental health therapist.
And I'm Tara, personal trainer. We believe in finding ways to nourish a healthy relationship with our mind and body, eating for well-being, not weight, finding joy in moving our bodies, and embracing and understanding our emotions. We are here to help you redesign your relationship with food, fitness, and yourself.
How great would it be if you got science-based guidance from qualified professionals instead of trying out conflicting, overhyped, and unproven trends?
If that sounds as awesome to you as it does to us, join us every week as we dig into strategies to enrich and enhance our day-to-day life and health.
And let's start rebranding your wellness journey.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of Wellness Rebranded. I am Tara, and I'm here with Maria and Elizabeth today, and we are super excited because we have...
And we just can't hide it. Sorry.
We just can't hide it. We are super excited because we have Gina Hahn with us. You guys, if you've been longtime listeners of the show, you may remember that Gina came on a while back, and we'll link her episode in the show notes, and talked with us once before. And she is now at a place called FX Physical Therapy, and they are offering this program. And Gina, I'm going to let you talk about it, but it's called H.E.R, and it's all about women's health. So we wanted to get her back on the show to talk about women's health during pregnancy and postpartum, and kind of just chat about all things women.
Yay. I love celebrating women. Hello. Thank you all for having me here. I love Wellness Rebranded.
You're back.
Yes. So I do have this unique opportunity as a pelvic floor physical therapist and as a team member at FX Physical Therapy. Great. We've got lots of locations. I'm in the Annapolis location. So together, we're putting together a program called H.E.R, which stands for Health, Empowerment, Recovery. And the goal of the program is to offer the community free information, free resources about women's health, things that show up that are specific to a female body, how physical therapy can be helpful, and how we collaborate with other providers to give you some good coaching and lifelong wellness.
I love this so much because women's health has been so underserved historically that it's just so nice to see people changing that.
Yeah.
I actually learned the other day that it wasn't until like 1996 that it was legally like mandated that women be included in research studies.
Yeah.
So
Which is
like the
like
90s,
recent
all research
history.
was done on dudes.
Yeah.
Crazy.
Completely. And we are not men. So I feel like the default is always a male body. And so women have this like otherness because we're being compared to a male body, and our bodies they're just different, and that's okay. And it's beautiful, and it should be celebrated and understood and researched. So yes, I'm very grateful that there are more women higher up everywhere and that it's trickling down.
Yeah, for sure.
Gina, so I'm sure, like, describe to us what is like an example of somebody who could benefit from this program or this initiative, or maybe what was the why behind creating this?
The why is what we just talked about, that there's just a stark deficit in information related to what is health and wellness in a woman's body and how to address things that come up. So people that can benefit from this are women throughout the lifespan, adolescence. There's a puberty time that's a big hormonal shift and comes with potential, from my perspective, like anatomy, injury, body things that occur. And then if you're a woman who has children, there's another big shift in your hormones and your body that changes, and what can come up there. How can we assist and help you feel safe? And then the third shift would be in that menopause, postmenopause time. So women across the lifespan, this is really for all of you.
Yeah, and there's very distinct kind of needs and changes that happen at all of those different phases. And I know one of the things that you specifically wanted to talk about today was returning to exercise in that postpartum period.
Yes.
So talk to us about, well, first of all, why is this even a special conversation to be had? And let's start there.
Okay. So I don't know if you guys have noticed. I know you have noticed, of course, but if your listeners haven't noticed, like strong bodies and women being in the gym is much more celebrated now, which is so cool and so exciting, right?
I've like worked my whole
and-
career for that right there.
That statement.
That's
you're
been my
still
goal since
working.
ever.
Yes. And it's also still an intimidating place, the gym. So for my moms who want to get back to that group fitness class because it's where their community is, it's their tribe, right? But they just had a birth that maybe didn't go the way they wanted to, or it went just fine the way they wanted to, but their body feels so different in postpartum and they didn't really anticipate that or expect that because they spent so much of their time and energy preparing for that pregnancy and that delivery. And now there's this, oh, now I need to recover from this event that occurred. So how to help create some guidance in this time so that you feel safe and seen and encouraged to get back to or start a routine of fitness and wellness. And I know there are also listeners out there who just are allergic to exercise or don't love it at all. And for those of you listening, it's not just about aesthetics. It is about longevity. It's about feeling good in your body. It's about preventing pain and injury so that we can become 70 and 80 and 90 years old and still move about your world and your life the way you want to. So doing it now in this early postpartum period helps set you up for success for later.
Yeah, such an important point to make. I think back to myself and my postpartum period, I probably did everything wrong because I just couldn't wait to get back into the gym and to do what I wanted to so badly to do what I had done before, and probably at that point had a disordered relationship with exercise and took it way too far, too early. So maybe you can just start there of like, how much time do you need to allow to rest before you even think about getting back to exercise?
Thank you so much for being vulnerable and sharing that. That is a common story. So 2 weeks minimum is what I share. If I have the opportunity to see clients in that pregnant time period, we spend a whole session and I give a number of email follow-ups about postpartum recovery. And the main thing that I talk about is do less in those first 2 weeks. Communicate to yourself, communicate to the support people around you that you should be laying in bed, sitting on the couch, loving on your baby, feeding your baby, and not much else.
Yeah.
Somebody else
Can
needs to be
you-
doing the
good to know.
dishes. Somebody else needs to be doing the laundry. Like
For a long time.
Yeah.
2 weeks.
And also, just to clarify, you're not suggesting that in 2 weeks you go back to your pre-partum or pre-pregnancy,
Pre-pregnancy.
yes, thank you, routine, right?
That is correct. Yes.
Yeah.
Let's say that loud and proud. Yes. It's just 2 weeks of like really restricting movement so that your body can knit itself back together.
I think that's so hard, right? Because in society, we're kind of pressured to like, quote unquote, get your body back. And we don't like
hate
just
that.
sitting there. I do too. That's my biggest pet peeve ever is when people say that, but like the idea of just sitting on the couch for 2 weeks feels very like unproductive and wasteful to a lot of us.
Not only
So-
that, but as someone who did go back to the gym before I should have, and probably harder than I should have, it's actually, people praise that behavior.
Yes.
And it actually feeds a disordered thing.
Absolutely.
Yes, exactly. I often don't see folks until they're 4, 6 weeks, 8, 12 weeks postpartum. And some of them have gotten back into their group exercise class. And have symptoms because of it, you know, and are wondering if that's normal, or they went for a walk on day 3 postpartum, you know what I mean? Like it doesn't that, you know, the pendulum can swing both ways. A walk doesn't seem like a major event, but when you've just birthed a human, whether vaginally or via cesarean, your body needs to heal from that. So that is what those first 2 weeks are for, is to set up that environment for healing. And, you know, Maria, I'm sure you can speak to the mental health side of this as well. It feels like you're doing nothing, but it's the most productive thing you can do for your body, is to let it heal in those first 2 weeks, and 3 weeks if you've got it, you know what I mean? But at a minimum 2 weeks, I tell people to, just because you can doesn't mean you should.
Gina, I have an interesting example of that from my postpartum period. So I had very healthy pregnancy, mostly uncomplicated labor and delivery, like in terms of my physical health. And it was during COVID. So they shut down a lot of the entrances to the hospital. So we left the hospital and they brought me out in a wheelchair to like as close to the garage as they could. We went home, whatever, but we came back later to see my son in the NICU, and I had to walk down this long hallway to before we got to like the elevators. And walking is like my favorite thing, so I love to go on walks and stuff. And I couldn't even make it from like the garage
Yeah.
to the NICU without having to stop. There was like benches along the hallway, and I told my husband, I was like, hey, I gotta sit down for a sec. And he looked at me like, are you good? And I was like, I don't know. Like I could walk like 100 miles yesterday, and now today, like things didn't quite feel quite right. Like I just felt like for my pelvic floor and my core, I just needed like a minute.
Yeah.
So this is coming from someone with an uncomplicated pregnancy. Like I can only imagine that it's much worse if you've had any sort of issues during like postpartum or labor or, you know, pregnancy.
Yeah. And thank you for bringing in your husband's reaction to that, right? Like, I want the education to be not just to the women experiencing it, but so that they feel encouraged to share with their partners or their support people, like, I need time. I need time to heal. And that's normal. This is normal. I'm not failing because I need to be on the couch and in bed, or if we need to be visiting our newborn baby, I need the wheelchair to get back into the hospital. And that's okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So what I'm hearing is something very important, which is giving ourselves grace, because the healing process is different for everyone, and that normal is even different for everyone. Some people might feel that they can start moving their body in 2 weeks, 12 weeks, maybe it could be 6 months after that because there are it is a life transition, like you were saying, Gina, and there's so many other variables that come with it, this besides, you know, the toll that is taking in your body. For me, your guys making me think when I had my first kid, I getting used to having a kid made me stay at home, figuring out how I was gonna deal with this human being that depending on my care when I was home alone. And in my case, I did want to go back to moving my body, but I couldn't find a place where I could bring my baby and feel comfortable leaving the baby somewhere. So it wasn't until I was looking and looking, and I found a personal trainer that gave me an individual session so that I could bring my baby on the car seat, you know, those car seats that you bring with you, the little thing. And that's how I exercise. It was the only way. And I have pictures of me exercising and this tiny baby next to me on the, you know, removable, you know, what is the
bucket.
Yeah, the bucket that you put as a car seat. And that's what really saved my life in that sense, because I felt discouraged that it was like leaving her. Many places don't take babies that young, or I didn't want to leave her with other babies because I was scared of sickness and whatever it was. So sometimes it's even hard to find that kind of support if you don't have a place to leave your baby at.
I'm going to digress for a second, but just to tell you a super quick story. I remember after my first baby was born, I was getting a haircut and it was in my neighborhood. I usually walk there. I mean, she was a few months old and I didn't think anything of it. I just put her in the stroller with the bucket seat, and I thought I would take her to get it while she was sleeping. It was her nap time. And I went in and they were like, I'm so sorry, you are not allowed to have your baby here. We can't cut your hair. And I was so embarrassed because I thought, oh, does everyone know this? You're not supposed to bring a baby. And like, I was mortified.
I had no idea that that's a thing.
Well, I mean, it could have just been that particular salon was snooty. I
Salon.
don't know, but I just
Yeah.
remember being like very embarrassed of like I had broached this taboo or something that I didn't know.
Yeah.
But anyway, we digress. So
No, that's it. You guys are bringing up, right? Like my role is often in treating the mom and her body and how it's recovering. And there are all these other environmental, social constructs that like we have to jump through hoops. I find it, I'm so glad that I'm able to offer at FX that like bring your baby. You know what I mean? Like I have this private room. We close the door. He or she can crawl around on the floor, or if it's a sleeping baby, great. It's in a stroller, you know? We wheel the baby out into the main gym and, you know, get all of these sweet reactions because people, generally speaking, love to see sleeping babies, you know? So it's just like this interesting, yeah.
Caveat.
But it's just funny. Yeah, like I think that I am growing up in a generation where it's way more normalized that like you're just showing up to your appointment and your baby is there, you know, and there are still places where, you know, that's not appropriate, and hopefully they know to let the mom know that before she arrives. But yes, these are all some of those things that need to be discussed, and how I like to communicate to my client. It is, yes, your body. That's the primary reason you would come to see me. And you have this human that you have to take care of, and they require a lot of your energy. So
Well, and
be
also
giving yourself grace.
it points out women's health is treating the whole person, right? And so being able to have conversations like that with your provider is important. But so after the couple week rest period, what do you recommend for women postpartum who really want to either start a new one or get back into a fitness routine?
Yeah, let's talk to the women like Elizabeth who were like hungry to get back into the gym. So knowing that you're going to feel different in your body and that is okay. So if you were somebody who weightlifted before and you're trying to get back to squats, we got lots of other things to do before I'm putting you under load with squats. Number one, I want to assess that you can engage your core and your pelvic floor, that you can breathe while you're engaging your core and your pelvic floor. So some simple like lying down or being on all fours, and then we move to standing, just to as like a progression of what's no gravity to against gravity movement.
And Gina, really quickly, sorry to interrupt,
Yeah.
but why is that so important? Like what could happen if you push that and you can't engage your core and you're doing squats?
You can put a lot of pressure on your bladder and your uterus and your rectum in a downward way, and that can create bladder issues, prolapse symptoms, which is like that heaviness, bulging, falling out sensation, or issues with constipation if you're not engaging your core, which includes your pelvic floor. If you're not engaging that properly, which should feel like you're hugging in around your spine and your pelvis and your hips instead of pushing and bearing down.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, and the body has memory. So if the early parts of your exercise you are doing something incorrectly, your body doesn't know it's incorrect, but it's saying, oh, this is how we do this. This is how we do this. This is how we do this, you know? And then we get to 3, 4, 5, 6 months and you haven't done it properly. And now we are at a place you didn't have symptoms in those first 3 months, but now you're having symptoms, you know? So we can totally address it. It's not like you've gotten to a point of no return, but doing it correctly with good mechanics early on serves you well.
Love that.
So like something that I noticed for me postpartum You know, for any new listeners out there, you know that I'm a personal trainer. And so a lot of times at the gym, I'm on my feet all day and I'm like handing heavy weights to clients, you know, or demonstrating like a rep or two of an exercise for clients, but I'm not like working out all day. And when I came back to the gym to work, you know, I was like 10 weeks postpartum and I was able to stand without any kind of issue all day. But I noticed when I would hand like a heavy kettlebell to my clients, like I felt like too much pressure on my pelvic floor. And it was like kind of difficult for me to come back into my career from pregnancy because I felt like, oh my gosh, I can't even hand my client this dumbbell or this kettlebell. Like, what do I do now? And of course, luckily I have the best clients in the world and they're like, I'll pick up my own kettlebell, duh. Like, you know, I felt very stressed about it, but they were just like, that's ridiculous. I'm here to work out. It was fine. But from a postpartum mother's standpoint, I felt like, well, how can I even work out if I can't lift up my own kettlebell? Like, this is silly. So for me, I feel like I needed a little bit more time than the traditional like 6 weeks that we talk about and that, you know, the medical system kind of gives us. And I want to just kind of highlight that I think that's okay and it's appropriate and acceptable. It's not
Yeah.
like a failure, you know?
Yes. The word failure was coming to me as well. Yeah, that you felt like a
Mhm.
failure and that is because society told you 10 weeks was enough time
Yeah.
and that you should have been able to go. Yeah. Yeah, so just finding the safe entry point for anyone, and it's going to be different for each person. If you did have really good strength beforehand, that of course does help in the recovery period, and you're still going to feel weak compared to the pre-time, right? And then for my moms who come because they're now having a lot of pain, because guess what? You're carrying and carrying a new baby that is 8 to 12 pounds already and growing ounces every week, right?
Those
So like
bucket
you're
seats, I
carrying
don't think
around your
lend
own
themselves to
kettlebell.
proper ergonomics.
Yes.
Right.
I was actually going to say that, Elizabeth, because I had a bucket seat that actually had wheels that popped out of the bottom.
Oh,
It's
Yeah.
like my number one most favorite purchase for like new moms. You know, shout out to Duna strollers because they're amazing.
Yes.
But like a bucket seat's so awkward to hold and you have to hold it kind of away from your body. Like I see clients all the time who have like neck and shoulder problems from
Yes.
carrying their 10-pound infant in a
Mhm.
10-pound bucket seat awkwardly out to the side. It's just a lot of weight and sets us up improperly. So like I was a huge fan of like, oh, unless I'm going up or downstairs, I don't have to carry my bucket seat. I just
Yeah.
push like a stroller and it was
Yeah.
amazing.
Yeah. So thank you for that, right? Because there's just function. These are some of the reasons to also want to get back into a workout, or not want to because not everybody wants to, but to feel strong to just do the mom thing,
Yeah.
right? Like you are carrying. I love these images on social media where, at least in the community that I follow, you know, the mom's got her diaper bag and the baby in one arm and like a bag from having gone shopping that day, and she's carrying the kid upstairs. And it's like, you think that you need to be strong, you know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
it's okay that we get you back to the gym. It's not, you know, it's the right thing to do, because oftentimes there's all of this like, you know, we're scared. That's the other piece that needs to be addressed, is the fear of getting back into exercise. But look at just what you're doing in your day to day. You are lifting and carrying. And so now, like, how can we set you up for success in doing that? Build your capacity to meet that demand.
yeah. Or thinking that it feels selfish to spend time exercising when
True.
you should feel, you know, when
Mhm.
you could be spending that time with your child, but it's actually serving both of you if you do that.
Yeah, it's a way to improve
Totally.
your motherhood
Yeah.
in
Yes.
many ways.
And their
Yeah.
childhood.
Yeah,
Yeah.
their child. It's a way to
Yeah.
improve us both. I love that because I love when we give, and you were talking about this another time, Gina, how when we see these exercise as something needed for your wellness and for longevity, instead of, because I think I grew up programmed that is exercise and it has to be, it's almost like punishment. It's like you have to exercise because I don't know why, because you have to, and but when you see it that way, that you're gonna need that strength even when they are teenagers, and you just need to, I don't know,
You definitely need
carry
mental
their
strength.
stuff, because, well, mental strength for sure. Physical too, because they want you to walk the mall because she wants to go shopping or whatever it
Yeah, and you
is.
have to stay up till 2 in the morning waiting for
Exact-
them to come home.
Or listening to their problems, that takes a toll
This sounds
physically, so-
horrible. Don't tell me this. I have a 4-year-old.
I'm sorry, yeah, but anyway, whatever, well, spin it to positively. You want to go partying, you want to go to a concert, okay? You want to go to a Bad Bunny concert, whatever it is you're doing.
Yes, let's go.
Yes,
Or
Bad
like,
Bunny.
your likes, let's say Bad Bunny. And I'm like, can I do a concert really and stand up for 3 hours listening to these? No, well, go to Gina and be part of the H.E.R program, because then you can be in shape and dance Bad Bunny for 3 hours. Why not?
We need videos.
Thank you so much. Yeah, Maria, you're making such good points, right? Not everybody wants the exercise, not everybody's hungry for it, but these are those life quality of life things,
Yes.
living, that you need some strength to support that. And I think it's the most obvious thing is core strength and pelvic floor strength after giving birth. And then as we age, it's your bone strength, right? We don't want to have weak bones because we're not lifting weights or we don't have the right nutrition. Like, it's important to know what is healthy for your bones, and a big piece of that is strength training. So again, this like prevention or ability to go on those riverboat cruises and get on and off the boat later on in life. And if you did the core and pelvic floor work, if you were a mom, like, now you have all of that support leading into your 60s, 70s, and beyond.
And that's exactly why we're so passionate about rebranding wellness any way, right? If you're talking about movement, or in my case, if you're talking about nutrition, how you're feeding your body, your mental health, it's not about doing it for weight, right? There's so many reasons to focus on that. And I think then it just like gets lost in the noise.
Yeah. And
it's confusing and misguiding for people. And if you can bring back to kind of the real reasons to do it, it changes the conversation.
Yeah, I really appreciated that example that Maria just gave. And that is a big piece of the H.E.R program that FX is putting together, is because we feel like this population is underserved. There's misinformation, there's just confusing information, there's a lot out there. So just trying to strip it down to the most basic stuff and give you resources so you can feel educated to decide to come to physical therapy, or educated to go have the conversation with your primary care provider about something. So it's really just there to serve as an educational resource, a community, and we hope that it continues to grow and be really helpful for the folks who are listening.
I really love that, especially because I feel like so much of society and like people in general kind of prey on women's fears. So we kind of put out this like, oh, this scary thing that could happen to you if you don't do this one thing that I'm going to help you with, is like, so then we all kind of get anxious about like, are we doing all the things that we should be, which isn't helpful, right? It's pressure that the women of the world are under. And we don't always know like what's a good resource, like who can I trust on this topic, so having a program like H.E.R, or if I may say so ourselves, Wellness Rebranded, to live.
Yes.
So Gina, yes, how can women connect with this program? Because I'm already thinking, you're talking and I'm like, I need to go to Gina for my lower back problems and all these things that I have. And I want to take advantage of these resources that you're offering with this initiative. How can women get connected to this awesome resource you're offering?
Let's link it in the show notes. There's a easy Google form sign up to be a part of the newsletter. And the newsletter is one time a month. At the end of the month, it's going to come to you and give you information about upcoming events that FX Physical Therapy is putting on, or collaborations that we're having with other local gyms and wellness venues. So that is an easy way to do it. And then you can also check out FX Physical Therapy on Instagram to follow up on all of the things, because you're also going to get more the traditional physical therapy route, and we will sprinkle in some of the H.E.R information on the FX Physical Therapy Instagram page.
And is this something for women, local women only, or can anybody around the world or the US can take advantage of?
Great question. FX physical therapy is all within Maryland. So if you're coming to a physical location to see somebody like myself or my colleagues who are in other locations doing pelvic floor PT, you would need to be a resident in Maryland. But the newsletter and the events that are occurring or the information that we're giving, absolutely, just sign up and that information is free to you. It's something that you can utilize wherever you are.
And also, I know you guys do your Instagram lives that there's great takeaways, information. So, I mean, really, it is an awesome resource for the community, but it's for more than just our local community.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Yes. Thank you for that. Right. Instagram, socials, those are for the world.
And I just want to share, so Gina and I share like dozens of clients.
Mm-hmm.
You know, she sends me people that need to get stronger outside of the physical therapy, you know, lens.
I was one of those people I've worked with both of you for my own needs.
Yeah, and I send her clients that need help with pelvic floor stuff or any like orthopedic type injuries, you know, and I have to say that everybody that works with Gina comes back like a raving fan. They usually, like without exception, say that she is the most compassionate person that they've ever dealt with in like healthcare, and that she truly like listens to what they need. And it's usually like kind of a unique experience for them because, you know, in our traditional healthcare model, we don't feel heard a lot of the time. And Gina is one that really like listens in and kind of gets to the root of the problems and addresses what they need. And I have to say, all of my clients are raving fans. So Gina, thank you.
I agree with all of that,
Thank you.
actually. And I would add to that, I've seen many, many physical therapists over the years, and Gina was my favorite because I felt like, one, of course, you are a very compassionate person, but you're also extremely intelligent and knowledgeable.
Yeah.
But more than that, I felt like you went back to the beginning and looked at me almost from like the ground up. I came to you for a specific thing, but you like went back 7 steps, and I needed that, and it was awesome. And not everyone had done that.
Thank you guys so much. You're gonna make my head too big, but I really, really appreciate it so much. And I share clients with all 3 of you. I am often referring to, it's such an easy handoff, really, to Tara for personal training, to Maria for mental health, to Elizabeth for dietitian. I mean, it's such a match made in heaven that I have the 3 of you as colleagues and friends. And I know that our clients benefit from it largely. And yeah, I'm just happy to be in your community.
Same. Thank you so much, Gina, for being here with us today for this episode. For you listeners, a few reminders from today besides your own takeaways. Give yourself grace. If you need to lay down, you lay down. If you're hungry, you're hungry. Those transitions deserve for you to offer self-compassion. Another one is exercise is safe. Give yourself that moment of healing and then reach out to providers like FX Therapy for you to start moving your body and doing it because it is important for wellness, for longevity, and for a healthy body for a lifetime. Thank you for tuning in for this episode. If you love it, as I'm sure you did, leave us a review, a like. You can connect with us on our Instagram page. All the information for FX Therapy is going to be on the show notes. Don't forget they have this amazing initiative called H.E.R, Health, Empowerment, and Recovery. And we will see you on our next episode very soon. Take care of yourself.
Bye, Gina. Thank you.
Bye. Thank you guys so much.
Thank you for listening. If you want to connect with me outside of this podcast, you can find me on Instagram at coaching_therapist.
I'm Elizabeth. You can find me at Elizabeth Harris Nutrition or in my Facebook group, Health and Healing with Intuitive Eating.
And I'm on Instagram and Facebook at Tara DeLeon Fitness. Guys, if you loved this episode or any of our other episodes, we would love it if you would leave us a review on Apple Podcast. It really, really helps us get the non-diet word out to the rest of the world. So please leave us a review.
Yes, thank you.